Folks, I don't mind telling you, we here at the Chris Salcedo Show, we are fed up with the Democrats' cancel culture. America was founded on the shared ideals of freedom and liberty. The idea of free speech protects all speech. The silencing of dissenting ideas isn't just un-American, it's dangerous. Freshman North Carolina Congressman Madison Cawthorn has been vocal about the silencing of those who disagree with the socialist supremacists and their communist cult. The congressman tweeting this week that America needs more speech, not less, more debate, and more discussion. He makes a compelling point here. Don't cancel your neighbor, communicate with them. What a novel concept. Now, we conservatives understand that concept. North Carolina Congressman Cawthorn joining me now. He understands that concept. You know, Congressman, welcome back to the show. And what I find most disgusting about the anti-Americanism of the cancel culture is the overwhelming majority of your colleagues on the Democrat socialist side who refuse to oppose this destructive movement because they think it benefits them politically in the short term. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all, Chris. It's great to be back on your show talking about this important subject. It's very evident to me, people like Matt Gaetz and Mo Brooks, that cancel culture has actually seeped into our government. People do not want to hear any diversity of thought. They don't want to hear any dissenting voices. So they're just trying to silence us. Now, when your leaders, and I'm talking directly to any Democrats watching, when your leaders want to silence any voice of dissent, that means they must be afraid of the truth, and that means they must have malevolent purposes behind what they're doing. It's a dangerous road we're on, Chris.
No kidding. And, you know, it's perfectly acceptable in Xi Jinping's China to silence dissenting voices. That's what totalitarians and leftists do. You guys extended an olive branch. I say you guys, you and I think it was part of the freshman class coming in. Beth Van Dyne and some other members of Congress penned a letter to Mr. Biden saying, hey, let's try to find some common ground and work together. Have you heard back from the Biden White House on that letter?
You know what? I have not heard back a word from the Biden White House. It seems like they wanted to cancel Congress. Nancy Pelosi has us out of session for what seems like an eternity. And the reason is, why do they even need Congress when you can just legislate and rule through executive order? You know, there's a lot of things that we could probably work on even with these radical Democrats. Things like infrastructure reform, making sure we get more rural broadband. And also things like term limits, which is supported overwhelmingly by both sides. But you know what? The Democrats don't want to hear about it. And Chris, I appreciate that you don't even call them conservative Democrats anymore because they are full-on socialists. The radical wing has taken over their party. And I'm calling out to all Americans now. We have got to stand up and fight. We have got to oppose what these socialists are trying to do to us because we are fighting for the future of our children's children.
Yeah, no kidding. I said this earlier in the program. I can name 3 Democrats who still stand up for the American ideals of free speech, freedom of religion, and the rest of them are, as I call them, socialist sellouts. Look, I want to talk about something that you said on Twitter, and I put it up. And we just interviewed a man who was a victim of this, of what you tweeted about. 11,000 jobs lost with the stroke of Mr. Biden's pen. More than 10,000 China virus deaths, dozens of executive orders. And by your math, that works out to be the worst first week of any president in history. And I think that's fair. I think you're being more fair than, say, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, of showing exactly the damage that this administration is doing to real people's lives. I don't see CNN interviewing a guy like Mr. Crabtree who had his life decimated with Mr. Biden just signing a document. It's absolutely nuts to me.
Well, Chris, you don't see it because it doesn't fit their narrative. These people are cowards from the truth. They don't want to hear any opposing viewpoints. That's why they're trying to kick me and Matt Gaetz out of Congress. But I'll tell you, we're not backing down. We're standing up and we're here to fight against this radical agenda. I'm very thankful that the people of Western North Carolina support me. You know, as far as I have found, the people in Washington hate me. The journalists write bad hit pieces against me. Nancy Pelosi and the socialists want to kick me out of Congress. But I'll tell you, as soon as I fly back to my district here in the mountains, I'm surrounded by nothing but love and support. So if I'm supported in my district by real Americans and hated in Washington, I must be doing something right.
Yeah, you know, one of those Democrats who had a real problem with you is a guy by the name of Colonel Moedavis. He was at Gitmo, and he actually, in a tweet, admitted that he had prosecuted innocent innocent detainees there. I'm wondering, why were you prosecuting innocent folks if you believe that? But Mr. Cawthorn, as you and I know, the worst of radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists are housed at Gitmo. And he said you were more of a threat to the United States than radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists. This is what passes for civil discourse among a failed Democrat candidate for office, Colonel Morris Davis. What is your reaction to that, sir?
Well, Chris, I would love to comment on what he said, that I'm more guilty than 95% of these detainees. But at the end of the day, when you see that at the end of this man's tweet, if you want to throw it back up, I encourage your viewers to look back at the end. He said he's calling for a domestic war on homegrown terrorists like myself. He's saying that he wants to come and cause violence against elected officials. I don't know about you, Chris, but last I heard, that's a felony.
Well, yes, and it also causes you to be impeached. Since we're now impeaching private citizens in the United States Congress, what the hell? I mean, this should be automatic. But see, he still has an account on Twitter right along with the Ayatollah Khomeini. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about Twitter's standards? That it's okay to threaten war and violence against Republicans, but never a scant word should be said against Democrats.
Oh, Iran can chant death to America. The Ayatollah can say that he wants to slaughter all Americans. The radical Taliban and ISIS can say they want to push Israel to the sea. You can have the Chinese dictatorship that wants to silence any voice that's causing terrible violence against the Uruguay Muslims. But they're all allowed to continue speaking. But I'll tell you, I say that I want to support a constitutional election, one where the will of the people is respected. And apparently they're allowed to threaten violence against me. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all. And of course, that's the unfairness we're all having to live under in the cancerous cancel culture of the Democrat Party. Mr. Cawthorn, it is a pleasure speaking with you as always. Come back soon. We will do this again.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.